Oh. Is it good? Oh, well, let's go. All right. So today we'll talk about how we scale DeFi. So I make the case for minimal DeFi protocols. The reason why is if we don't build like protocol the right way. As of now, there was like 6.5 billions of protocols being hacked or users being scams, etc. It's not taking into account maybe the last year, so it should be higher. So it's a massive, massive number if you compare to the size of DeFi. So obviously, if we bring the whole financial system on chain, we don't want that. So we don't want that, and we've been working 3 years on top of existing DeFi protocols at Morpho. So we have realized we've at the same time providing a financial DeFi protocol, lending protocol to users, and also building on top of existing lending protocols as close as we can do. So sorry about the the slides; they are changing from one slide to another. Anyway. What we've realized over those 3 years is that a lot of those DeFi protocols are not really secure. There's smart contract risk and there's market risk. It is just because they are like not following any good security practices. They are not efficient. There's huge spread between supply and borrow rates on lending protocols, but also huge slippage on on dexes, low capital efficiency. And we spotted a third problem is it does not scale. In a world where you have thousands or even millions of tokenized assets, private stocks being tokenized and brought on-chain, and the thousands of meme coins that we have, if you want to list them, all of them, into DeFi protocols, especially lending protocols, the current way of doing this is not scalable enough. It's usually one-size-fits-all model where like we pull everything together. As a user, I'm exposed to all those assets. So if something bad happened on one asset, I don't know, X sushi or whatever, the asset, then I'm exposed to that and can be drained. And it requires a lot of maintenance, which is something that is at odds with DeFi promise. So we've passed, we spent the last 2 years like just defining how we solve all those problems in the DeFi space to make reliable and resilient DeFi protocols. So the real question is, how do we scale safely the DeFi space? So I don't know if you've heard about the Swiss cheese model. So the Swiss cheese model of security is about having many layers. Like a Swiss cheese layer of security. Obviously, the Swiss cheese have like hole in those, so each layer has like some drawbacks. But if you add enough of them, at some point you don't have like any security problems, or at least you have reduced them by a lot. This is a good way to reduce smart contract risk, economic risk, etc. So of course you need to do it. We have built a security framework at Morpho that we've shared in our blog. So if it's interested for you, you can have a check. But this is not enough. The real problem is at the very beginning, which is about how do we design better protocols in general. And this part is particularly underrated into the space, and why we think this is the critical one. So we have built some sort of like a framework or design principles to build DeFi protocols that scale and reduce the security risk. The third aspect is having governance minimized protocols. So not trying to have everything that is powered by the governance that is decentralized, etc. In fact, the best governance that you can have is just no governance at all, and just automated piece of code that is triggered and the logic cannot change. So reducing governance just lower the overhead, maintenance, reduce the attack surface. There were many hacks with like governance that were taken over by your large whales. I think you have heard about, was it Bumpy? No, I don't know. He hacked like a compound fork and then tried to do it with compound. And also minimizing governance just bring more predictability for users because they don't fear to have the governance changing risk parameters or upgrading contract. For the anecdotes, because we were building on top of Aave and Compound, there were a lot of time where they were changing the risk parameters or upgrading this the smart contract, and changing parameters was like very challenging as an integrator of those protocols because that was changing the behavior of the underlying protocol and thus affecting ours and even sometimes like blocking it, which was proved to be challenging. So a good example of those protocols that are like following that design principle, liquidity, Uniswap. I mean, Uniswap, you just can change the fee and that's it. Morpho V1 is the same. You just need to, I mean, for the Morpho governance V1, you can only change the fee and add interest rate model to the protocol, but you can't change the behavior of specific markets. So first point, minimize governance as much as possible. The second one, which is a bit related, is immutability. If your smart contract is fully immutable, that means that you have that it's completely trustless. You have more predictability as an integrator. So if I integrate a smart contract and it's fully immutable, I know that the logic won't change anytime soon. I mean, it will never change. And again, I have an anecdote on that. At some point, one smart contract that we were like on top of it, they upgraded the smart contract and it changed the interface. Changing the interface of a smart contract is basically the worst thing that you can do because it just breaks the whole integration. So people were locked in. I mean, integrators, not just us, but all other integrators using those functions that I had changed, they were locked in and they could not withdraw their funds. So I mean, upgradability is like an anti-pattern. I mean, if one layer is upgradable, every layer on top must be upgradable. So having immutable smart contract is a great way to bring more interoperability in the space and more predictability. Good example again, liquidity, Uniswap, Morpho, they are all immutable, so easy to integrate, you know the logic, and that you won't be surprised at midnight on a Saturday that someone has upgraded the smart contracts. A third point is risk isolation. So this is an important topic, especially if you want to have like a scalable protocols. At Morpho, we have we've coined that term, which is the curator term. Many protocols before Morpho were kind of like a one-size-fits-all model where every asset were pulled into one place, and as a user, I was exposed to that to all those assets. So you have basically you're targeting just one risk profile, while risk is a continuum. You have low risk to very high risk, and so low rewards, low yield to very high yield. But it's continuum. So if you have like one point, one target, you're just missing all the others. And it's especially critical in if you're bullish DeFi. As I said earlier, I mean, there will be millions of assets, millions of users, even billions, and they all are like different in shape and like behavior, and so they want different access to different risk profile service. And isolating risk is a good way to provide that to end user, because that means that if some shit happens on very high risk assets, risky assets, it won't affect the one that are just searching for low risk, low rewards asset. So I mean, separating the risk, isolating the risk, and separating the risk management from the accounting allows you to bring like more competition, more target more risk profiles on top of your protocol. So, good example are Melo, Symbiotic, Morpho. You have just an example of Melo with their LRTs. So you have like some sort of LRTs that are targeting different networks, and those networks may have like different risk profiles. So you can have like a maybe the one LRT1 is super risky, but the LRT3 is low risk. So as an investor or user, I might choose LRT1 or 3 depending on my profile. A very important topic is minimalism. This one is super important. We see many builders trying to build everything into to their protocol, like a DEX plus a lending plus, I don't know, fixed rate plus variable plus whatever. And at the end of the day, it's just like increasing the number of lines and increasing the attack surface. And you end up with thousands of lines of code that are totally open source and deploy on smart contract, deploy on chain, and with billions of assets. Of course, it's creating a big honeypot for hackers, and it's very risky. So on our side, our core thinking about it is you do just one thing, but you do it perfectly. And then, I mean, you have a few examples. Uniswap v2 is super simple. It has not been hacked. It's still used today. And Morpho v1, 650 lines of code, 7 billions of total deposit on it. You can read it's like reading an article if you read the code. And the thing that you can't do in your protocol, because you have removed all the unnecessary features that you don't care about, then all the rest you externalize, and you let other people to build on top the missing pieces. So, for instance, DEXs, you can like on top of like a DEX primitive, you could create limit orders, oracles, use TWAM, etc. But it's just like a simpler protocol on top of it that is reusing the infrastructure layer. This way, you isolate the risk, and also you can builders can concentrate on doing the thing that they want to build. For lending, you can have like a leverage or like some strategy of fixed rate on top of variable rate on top of it. And this way also you bring more competition, you bring more creativity into your protocol, because you're not the one deciding on what should be built, but people on top of it and builders and users will decide organically of what works and what makes sense. Good example as well, Uniswap on top of it. Uniswap is not building all the hooks, but Bunny V2, Arrakis, they are the one building those hooks and are the one building on top of that DEX infrastructure layer, and they are really focused on their core business. And Uniswap does not have to worry about like building all those hooks inside the Uniswap protocol. And for Morpho, at least the V1, we didn't have fixed rate, but you had Delve, Tenor, Pwn that were proposing fixed rate on top of Morpho. So that's basically the design principle that we recommend for any builder in the space to create safe and scalable DeFi protocols, which is, I think, something that builders should come back and should focus on if we really want to bring the whole financial system on chain. So, but obviously, you don't have to trust me. You can just check what are the protocol that works and the one that will last for years, and then verify by yourself what I've said. Any questions?
How do you think about 10 years down the line with the immutability? So, how do you take into consideration use cases that may not necessarily be obvious to you right now?
Yeah, sure. I said that protocol should be immutable. That does not mean you stop innovating. So you can still deploy another protocol. It's just that I think it should be more opt-in. I mean, you shouldn't force people to use the new logic, and it should rather be people migrating from one instance of an immutable protocol to another instance. Then comes the complexity of how do you migrate those users. And I think this is where you need to think about, like, how do I migrate those users and build the missing blocks that is that that transition from the previous protocol to the new one, and make it as seamless as possible, or even like abstract it as much as possible. But I don't think you should push users to use and force users to use the new instance.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. I had a question. Smart contracts for DeFi are often particularly complicated compared to other use cases, and I guess that's one of the reasons protocols often leave them upgradable, because they're just afraid something might happen one day. Do you have like how do you say tips on of rules that might give protocols confidence, like now we are ready to make our protocols?
It's exactly the point of minimalism, is there's too much things in the smart contract. If you deploy that you're not comfortable like about the safety of your protocol, that means that there's something that you've missed, and you need either to do some more security audits or stuff like that, or just remove features, because I mean, many protocol builders are putting a lot of features into their protocol that end up not being used. And I think this is a mistake, and they'd rather do less and maybe incorporate that into the next version than trying to put everything. I mean, we are not talking about the software, we are not Airbnb or where you can ship features every day whenever a user wants. I mean, it's like just like financial infrastructure where billions or even like trillions will flow at some point. So it's very different. People should have like a very different mindset when they build that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, thank you very much for the presentation. It was really nice. Still on the same topic, I would say like our vision here of immutability is that it is kind of a trade-off between risk and efficiency. You quickly mentioned that that people need to find solution to migrate, liquidity whatsoever, but upgradability allows this to do it like seamlessly. So it's like a risk, but at the same time, it's helping for migration of liquidity.
If there's an incident, you mean?
Not only, like imagine you want to add a new feature. For instance, let's take Uniswap v4 hooks. If you want to create a new feature, you currently have to deploy a new hook, attach it to a new pool, and this creates two pools for the same token pair. Whereas if you had an upgradable hook, you could just combine those two features.
That's true. This is a trade-off. Also, I agree that from time to time, like it's not possible to have everything immutable, and sometimes you